What if your greatest strength, your empathy, is actually just fear wearing a halo? What if that deep need you feel to connect with others, to feel what they feel, isn't about love at all, but a desperate attempt to make sure no one gets angry and, most importantly, no one ever leaves? Let's talk about something Carl Jung warned us about: the empathy trap. We're often told that being an empath is a gift, a superpower. You can walk into a room and instantly feel the emotional temperature. Someone is sad, you feel sad. Someone is anxious, you feel anxious. It feels like you're building a bridge of connection, right? But Jung suggested that when our own sense of self, our ego, is underdeveloped or fragile, this bridge collapses. Empathy stops being a tool for understanding and becomes an act of surrender. This is the critical difference between feeling for someone and feeling as someone. Feeling for is compassion. It's standing on your own 2 feet, on your side of the bridge, and extending a hand to someone on the other side. You can understand their pain without drowning in it. But feeling as is when you abandon your own side of the bridge completely. You jump into their river of emotions, and suddenly their mood isn't just something you understand. It's something that occupies you. It takes over your inner world. You're no longer you. You're a reflection of their emotional state. This is where the persona of the empath comes in. A persona, in Jungian terms, is the mask we wear for the world. For some, the identity of being the highly sensitive empath becomes a kind of halo. It feels noble, virtuous. You tell yourself, I'm just a deeply caring person. I feel everything so intensely. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? But what if this halo is actually hiding something less noble? What if it's a mask for fawning behavior? Fawning is a trauma response, just like fight, flight, or freeze. It's the instinct to appease a potential threat to avoid conflict. If you grew up in an environment where you had to manage the moods of volatile caregivers, you learned that your safety depended on your ability to anticipate and absorb their feelings. You became a human barometer, constantly scanning for shifts in the emotional weather. Your empathy wasn't a choice. It was a survival mechanism. That little kid who had to keep the peace grows up into an adult who feels responsible for everyone's happiness. So, when your friend is upset, you don't just listen. You feel a frantic urge to fix it because their unhappiness feels like a personal failure, a dangerous instability in your own world. When your partner is angry, you don't just give them space. You absorb their anger, contorting yourself into whatever shape you think they want you to be, just to make it stop. You're not connecting. You're managing a threat. The halo of empathy makes this self-abandonment look like a virtue, but it's really just a sophisticated form of fear. The fear of conflict, the fear of criticism, and the deep, primal fear of abandonment. This isn't love. Love requires 2 whole individuals choosing to connect. What I'm describing is self-erasure. It's dissolving your own boundaries, your own needs, and your own feelings until there's nothing left of you. You become a container for other people's emotional baggage. And the tragedy is, you do it willingly because you've convinced yourself that this is what it means to be a good, caring person. You wear your exhaustion and emotional burnout like a badge of honor, proof of your deep capacity for love. But it's a counterfeit virtue. True compassion can't exist where the self does not. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you've not only emptied your cup, you've handed it over to someone else entirely. Think about it. Do you find yourself drawn to people who are emotionally chaotic or needy? Do you feel a sense of purpose in saving or fixing them? This is a classic pattern. The empath and the narcissist, or the emotionally immature individual, are 2 sides of the same coin. One needs to be constantly filled, and the other feels compelled to constantly pour. It's a perfect, toxic fit. You mistake the intensity of the drama for the depth of the connection. But you're not a healing presence. You're enabling their inability to manage their own emotions, all while sacrificing your own well-being on the altar of your so-called empathy. This isn't a partnership. It's a hostage situation where you've handed over the keys to your own emotional prison. Breaking free starts with a radical act: selfishness. And I mean that in the best way possible. It means reclaiming your own emotional landscape. It means learning to stand on your side of the bridge and allowing someone else to feel their feelings, without you needing to feel them too. It means understanding that another person's anger or sadness is not a command for you to react. It's just information. You can acknowledge it, you can have compassion for it, but you do not have to absorb it. This is terrifying at first, because that inner child is screaming, if I don't fix this, they will leave me. You have to learn to soothe that child and stand firm in your own space. Next, we expose the oldest con in psychology, the pity play that turns your compassion into a leash. Comment "Hello" if you've ever felt owned by someone else's feelings. The fastest way to control a good person is simple. Shame them for saying no. It's a subtle, insidious form of control that doesn't use brute force. It uses your own goodness, your own empathy, against you. Have you ever been in a situation where setting a boundary made you feel like the villain? Where simply protecting your peace made you feel cruel and selfish? If so, you've likely encountered someone who wields pity as their master key. This isn't about the genuine compassion we feel for those who are truly struggling. This is about a manufactured, weaponized form of pity. It's designed to bypass your logical defenses and go straight for the heartstrings. The manipulator presents themselves as a perpetual victim, a fragile soul constantly battered by the winds of fate. Their stories are always laced with tragedy, their needs are always urgent, and their problems are always someone else's fault. And when you try to step back to create a little space for yourself, the script flips. Suddenly you're the unreasonable one. You're the one who lacks compassion. They'll say things like, "I thought you were different," or "After everything I've been through, you're going to abandon me too?" It's a direct hit to your identity as a kind, caring person. This dynamic is perfectly captured by the Cartman drama triangle. It has three roles: the persecutor, the victim, and the rescuer. The manipulator casts themselves as the eternal victim. By doing so, they automatically cast you in the role of the rescuer. It's a brilliant trap because rescuing feels good, doesn't it? It feels heroic. You see someone in distress and your instinct is to help. You swoop in, ready to solve their problems, offer advice, and lend a shoulder to cry on. But here's the catch. In this triangle, the victim has no intention of actually getting better. Their identity is built on being the one who needs saving. So you become their emotional janitor. Their chaos becomes your responsibility. You spend your nights on the phone, listening to the same circular complaints. You invest your time and energy trying to fix situations they have no interest in changing. And every time you think you've made progress, another crisis conveniently erupts. It's an endless cycle designed to drain you. The manipulator offloads all their emotional baggage onto you, a psychological process known as projection. They can't handle their own feelings of inadequacy, shame, or responsibility, so they project them onto you. Your exhaustion becomes proof of their overwhelming struggle. Your frustration becomes proof of your insensitivity. You're left holding the bag, feeling guilty and depleted, while they walk away feeling relieved, having outsourced their emotional labor. The guilt is a powerful tether. It keeps you locked in place. You start to believe that their happiness is somehow your duty. This is especially potent if you have what some psychologists call a mother complex, or a deep-seated need to nurture and fix others. You see their brokenness and feel an overwhelming urge to make them whole. This isn't just compassion, it's a compulsion. The manipulator senses this and exploits it ruthlessly. They know that your own inner wiring makes you susceptible to their pleas. You become a perpetual source of validation, energy, and resources, all while your own needs get pushed to the side. Your energy bleeds out drop by drop, fueling their drama while your own life withers. Their problems remain untouched, a permanent fixture of their identity, and you're just another character in their never-ending play. You might notice that they never take your advice. You can lay out a perfect step-by-step plan for them, but they'll always have an excuse for why it won't work. "I tried that already," or "It's more complicated than that," or "You just don't understand." This is deliberate. If they solved their problem, they would lose their leverage over you. They would lose their status as the victim, and you would no longer be needed as the rescuer. The entire dynamic would collapse. So they keep the crisis going, ensuring you stay hooked, forever trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. They don't want a solution. They want your attention. They don't want a hand up. They want a hand to hold them down in their comfortable misery, with you right there beside them. In part 3, we turn the blade inward, the shadow of the empath, savior pride, moral vanity, and why you need to be needed. Type pity if you spotted the hook. Are you healing them, or are you just protecting the story that you're the one who heals? Think about that for a second. It's a tough question, but it gets to the heart of something many of us struggle with: the savior complex. We all know someone like this, or maybe, if we're being honest, we've been this person. You're the go-to friend, The one everyone calls in a crisis. You listen, you advise, you fix. You're the strong one, the healer. It feels good, right? It feels purposeful. Empathy is a superpower, and you're using it for good. But what happens when that identity takes over? What happens when empathy curdles? This is what Carl Jung called inflation. It's when you identify so completely with a powerful archetype, in this case, the healer, that you become possessed by it. Your ego inflates, and suddenly, helping isn't just a kind act anymore. It becomes your entire identity. You're no longer just a person who helps. You asterisk the helper. And that's where the danger lies. Because when you're possessed by this archetype, your acts of service start to carry a hidden agenda. On the surface, you're helping someone in need. But underneath, deep in your psychological shadow, there's a quiet bid for superiority. By being the one who always has it together, the one who swoops in to save the day, you place yourself on a pedestal. You become the capable one, and they become the broken one. This dynamic, however subtle, isn't about genuine connection. It's about maintaining a power imbalance where you feel needed and therefore valuable. Even more insidiously, this constant helping becomes a masterful strategy of avoidance. Think about it. When you're completely absorbed in solving everyone else's problems, when do you have time to face your own? Your friend's relationship drama, your sibling's career crisis, your partner's anxieties, they become a convenient and noble-sounding distraction from the messy, uncomfortable work of looking at your own wounds, your own fears, your own shortcomings. It's so much easier to be the expert on someone else's life than to be a beginner in your own. And what's the inevitable result of this? Burnout. Deep, soul-crushing burnout. You give and give and give, fueled by this unconscious need to be the savior. But because the giving isn't pure, because it's tied up in ego and avoidance, it leaves you feeling drained and empty. And then comes the resentment. You start to feel unappreciated. After everything I've done for them, you might think, they're still making the same mistakes. You feel bitter that your heroic efforts aren't being recognized or reciprocated. But the truth is, nobody asked you to be a martyr. The role of savior was one you cast yourself in. This is where shadow work becomes non-negotiable. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is the part of ourselves we repress and deny. For the person trapped in a savior complex, the shadow contains all the things that don't fit the healer image: selfishness, aggression, appetite, the desire to say no. It's the part of you that wants to put yourself first, that gets angry, that has its own needs and desires. Engaging in shadow work means turning the focus away from them and back onto you. It means admitting that you're not just a selfless giver. You have an appetite for your own life. You have a right to your own energy. It means learning to say no and letting that no be a clean, complete sentence without guilt or justification. A clean no is an act of profound self-respect. It communicates that your resources, your time, your energy, your emotional capacity are finite and valuable. It also means allowing yourself to be aggressive, not in a harmful way, but in the sense of actively pursuing what you want and protecting your own boundaries. The savior is passive. They react to others' needs. The integrated individual is active. They create their own life. It means admitting that sometimes the most helpful thing you can do for someone is nothing at all. To step back and allow them the dignity of their own struggle, to trust that they have the inner resources to find their own way. When you start doing this work, your help transforms. It's no longer a compulsion, a desperate bid for validation. It becomes a conscious choice. You help not because you have to in order to feel worthy, but because you choose to from a place of genuine abundance and clear boundaries. Your help is no longer about propping up your own ego. It's about offering a hand from a place of solid ground, knowing that your own well-being isn't contingent on their rescue. Next, we forge cold compassion, boundaries, silence, and consequence, the architecture of real care. Comment savior if you're ready to meet your shadow without flinching. Sometimes the kindest act is closing the door and letting consequence do the teaching. We often think compassion means being a soft place to land, a human sponge soaking up everyone else's pain. But what if that's not compassion at all? What if it's just enabling? What if true, effective empathy is sharp, precise, and a little bit cold? This isn't about being heartless. It's about being effective. Think of an emergency room doctor. They can't afford to emotionally collapse with every patient. They have to triage, assess the most critical needs, and act decisively. They use a scalpel, not a sponge. That's the core of what we're calling cold compassion. It's Stoic calm applied to our relationships. It's about turning your empathy from a passive absorber of chaos into an active, disciplined tool for genuine help. So how does this look in real life? It's a 3-step process. Triage, one offer, one reminder, then release. First, triage. Just like that doctor, you assess the situation. Is this a genuine crisis, or is it a self-created drama cycle? Is this person actually asking for a solution, or do they just want an audience for their complaints? You have to be honest with yourself about what's really happening. Don't let your desire to be nice cloud your judgment. Next, you make one offer. A single, clear, concrete offer of help. Not an open-ended invitation to drain your life force. For example, your friend is constantly complaining about their job but never does anything about it. Instead of listening for hours every week, you say, I can help you polish your resume this Saturday for 1 hour. It's specific, it's time-bound, and it puts the ball squarely in their court. You've offered a tool, not a lifetime of emotional labor. Then comes the reminder, if needed. If they don't take your offer and come back with the same complaints, you give them one simple reminder. I'm still happy to help you with your resume on Saturday. You don't get dragged back into the cycle. You just restate the boundary and the offer. You're holding your ground, showing them the door to the solution you already provided. Finally, and this is the hardest part, you release. You let go of the outcome. Whether they take your help or not is their choice, their responsibility. You have to release your attachment to fixing them. You have to let go of the need to be the hero. You did your part. You offered a hand up, not a permanent carry. After that, you must allow reality and consequence to be the teachers. This isn't abandonment, it's respecting their autonomy. This approach requires strong boundaries. Forget writing long essays explaining your feelings. A simple, that doesn't work for me is a complete sentence. When someone tries to pull you into their vortex of drama, and you've already made your one offer, you can simply state, I'm not able to have this conversation again. It feels harsh at first, but it's incredibly powerful. You're breaking what's called a covert contract, that unspoken agreement where you endlessly listen, and they endlessly complain, and nothing ever changes. You're refusing to play the part of the rescuer. By withdrawing your energy from the problem, you stop interrupting fate. Sometimes the only thing that can inspire real change is the rock-bottom moment. If you are always there with a cushion, you prevent them from ever feeling the impact of their own choices. You're not helping. You're interfering with a crucial life lesson. Detachment isn't indifference. It's a form of disciplined love. It's love that respects reality, respects the other person's journey, and, most importantly, respects your own well-being. You can't pour from an empty cup, and constantly being a sponge for others will leave you drained and resentful. This disciplined compassion recognizes that some problems are not yours to solve. Your role is not to save everyone. It's to be a stable, grounded presence in the world. When you stop rescuing, you actually give people the space to rescue themselves. And that is a far greater gift than endless, ineffective sympathy. You're showing them, through your own actions, what it means to be responsible and self-possessed. It's the ultimate act of leading by example. Final chapter. From porous to grounded individuation and the warm presence that cannot be manipulated. Type cold warm if you're ready for a spine. Have you ever felt like a sponge, soaking up everyone else's emotions until you're completely waterlogged? Or maybe you're the designated rescuer in your circle, constantly diving into other people's storms, only to find yourself exhausted and pulled under. What if you could become the person who can stand in that storm, stay warm, and refuse to be dragged into the chaos? What if you could be a source of warmth that can't be extinguished by the cold winds of someone else's drama? This isn't about building cold, hard walls. It's about developing what I call untouchable warmth. It's a state of being that comes from true self-possession, a concept psychologists like Carl Jung called individuation. It's the journey of becoming who you truly are, separate from the expectations and projections of others. When you're centered in your true self, a remarkable shift happens. You start to feel everything. You don't shut down your senses, but you absorb nothing. The negativity, the anxiety, the chaos. It touches you, you acknowledge it, but it doesn't stick. It doesn't become yours to carry. Think of it like this. Your energy is a precious resource. For too long, you might have been giving it away freely, plugging leaks in everyone else's boat while your own takes on water. Individuation is about reclaiming that energy. It's about choosing, consciously, where your care flows. This isn't selfish. It's sustainable. A burnt-out helper helps no one, least of all themselves. A centered person, however, becomes a lighthouse, a steady, guiding light that shows others the way to shore without having to jump into the treacherous waters with them. A huge part of this journey is what's called shadow work. This means looking at the parts of yourself you've disowned or repressed, the anger, the frustration, the parts you deem unacceptable. We often become rescuers because we haven't faced our own neediness or our own strength. We try to fix others to avoid fixing ourselves. But when you integrate your shadow, when you accept all parts of yourself, your empathy grows teeth. It's no longer a mushy codependent impulse. It becomes steady, selective, and unhookable. You can offer genuine compassion without getting entangled. You understand someone's pain without making it your own. You influence through your solid example, not by draining yourself in frantic rescue missions. This leads to a profound acceptance of life, a concept that philosophers called amor fati, the love of one's fate. You stop trying to control every outcome, every person, every situation. You let go of the frantic need to manage everyone's feelings. Why? Because you realize the only thing you truly have control over is your own inner state. And when you cultivate a state of inner peace, something amazing happens. Your very presence begins to calm rooms. People feel it. They feel your stability, your centeredness. This calm is authentic because it isn't for sale. You're not performing tranquility to get approval. You're not being nice just so people will like you. You are simply unshakably yourself. And that is a powerful, magnetic force for good. This isn't an overnight fix, it's a practice. It starts with small acts of self-allegiance. It's choosing to honor your own feelings before managing someone else's. It's noticing when you're about to dive in and rescue, and instead choosing to stand firm on the shore, offering a hand but not your whole body. It's learning that no can be the most compassionate word you utter, both for yourself and for the other person, who needs to learn to navigate their own storm. This is how you build that untouchable warmth, that solid core of selfhood that allows you to be a beacon of light in a world full of tempests. You become a safe harbor, not a lifeboat constantly on the verge of capsizing. If this hit home, comment spine with one boundary you'll keep this week. Share this video with a chronic rescuer you know who needs to hear this. And make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because in our next episode, we read diving deep into the power of silence and strategic withdrawal as tools for building this very strength. Thanks for watching.